bring Brian up. Everybody clap him up. Here we go. Yeah, man. High five. Take the stage, bro.
What a beautiful introduction. All right, so basically what I was like talking about, I'll go like a 1 minute recap. Basically what I said was that the reason we go to these inner circle meetings is because it creates an emotional network for all these guys. Because game is fucking hard, and it's easy to create this ecosystem where we can vibe ideas off each other and grow as people, as together. And that's the fastest way we can ever grow, is together. That's basically a recap. That's all you get for being late.
What the hell? What's the game?
So the quote that was on there is, happiness is best when shared. And I completely agree with that, because as you guys know, like I was backpacking solo again in Europe, and I would see these beautiful places, like oh my god, I've never seen such beauty in my life. And I look around, and it's like I don't know anybody. Guten Tag, like I don't speak German, like it's cool because you can go and you can follow your intuition and make your own decisions and see what's out there without restrictions, having like to deal with somebody else. But at the same time, you can't share with somebody. There's no like 10 years down the road you can be like, oh, do you remember that time where we went to this beautiful place and we had this experience? It's only something you can have with yourself. So actually one of those experiences is what I want to talk about, because it is an experience that I got to share. I got to share it with this guy named Dennis in Norway, in Oslo. And he's kind of like one of the best pimps I've ever seen in my life. So I go on Facebook. This is actually a good idea if you guys want to travel. I go on Facebook on the Norwegian Inner Circle group, and I say, I'm being there for 10 days. Can anybody let me stay there in their house or whatever? I'll cook for you. I'll give you like hand jobs before you go to sleep or something. Dennis contacted me. I get to his house, and he's like ass naked. Like he opens the door, he's ass naked. He's like, yeah, dude, I just pulled. It's like 12 in the, it's like midday. I was like, I'm bought in. I love Norway. So he's like, hey dude, how do you feel about going to the forest? So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty open-minded at this point. Anything that as long as I'm with you, I'll do it, because I know you just pulled like this 10. And I was like, I just saw her walk off. So the next day we go to the forest, and there is like this huge social circle, like maybe like 12 guys and these two random, like this couple they picked up from the road that was hitchhiking. And they came to a point where we had to go down the mountain to get some water. Because in Norway, you can drink water like straight off the stream. You can go, there's like a waterfall, you go, you put it, you drink it. So I thought that was absolutely amazing. But it turns out is that Dennis really admired Max. So his whole lifestyle, 100% top to bottom, 100% congruent about being natural as possible. Like this motherfucker was shirtless, he had no shoes on, he was just wearing like pants. And we were in the forest. Like this isn't like where there's concrete, like this is like he's barefoot in the forest. Like I don't know if you guys done that, but that shit hurts. So I was like, fuck dude, whatever this guy does, I'm in. Take off my shirt, take off my shoes. We're barefoot in the forest. And the thing is that the water is really cold. The temperature's fine, but the water in Norway is really, really cold. The weather doesn't get too warm up there because it's all the way in the north. But the women are just gorgeous. And he gets into the water and he's like, Brian, you have to understand, it's cold, but the cold is your teacher. It is good for you. And so I was like, all right. So I put my foot in. I was like, ah! And like I take my foot out. I was like, no, I can't, fuck this. I can't do this. And he kind of like convinces me to just step in this little puddle that's a part of a big river. And so I get in. He's like, okay, good. Now just breathe. And like, let me tell you, I'm just up to my ankles. Like I'm just being a pussy at this point. And it's so cold. He's like, just breathe. So I would take a deep breath, and he's like, Brian, like he's so positive. He's like, don't you realize that it's getting warmer? And I was like, yeah, it's getting pretty warm. So he was like, you know what? Adventure, more game. Let's go up the river. And we would like separate ourselves from the group, and we would start to walk upstream, and the water gets cold. The terrain is shitty. We're barefoot, and like there's no sun out. So just horrible conditions. But he kept saying, he was like, look, Brian, I know that we're going farther away from the group, but we have the river. we want more game. We want more adventure. We want to go forward, because no matter what happens, we know that this river will take us back. Because I was like scared shit. I don't know where the fuck I was or who the hell this guy was, but he was like leading the fuck out of it. I was like, yeah, dude, wherever you go. Yeah. And so we're going forward, and it gets colder, and it starts to become nighttime. And he's like, just more game, no matter what happens. He kept repeating it, to a point where the water was now warm, and I was excited to go. And he sensed it, and he shit tested me. He was like, I think we should go back. It's like, no, more game. And we kept going. And it's really interesting, because the times where I wanted to quit the most, and I kept going, the universe rewarded me. So I would be like, shitty terrain, we go around the bend of the river, and then we see this beautiful Norwegian waterfall. And we're like, oh wow, so beautiful. More game, we climb the waterfall, keep going. And it was a cycle. And it came to a point where we finally saw this road. And we're like, oh look, a road. So we get on the road, and we see that there's more mountains. So we run up after like 30 seconds, and he sprints up ahead of me. And he's like, Brian, whatever you do, don't turn around. And I was like, is there a bear or something? And so I turn around, I take a glimpse, and it's the most beautiful view I've ever seen in my fucking life. And he's like, Brian, don't look. Come to the top. It's so much better. We run to the top of the mountain. It's the most beautiful, like the trees are like so green. They're so vibrant, and the sky, like the sun was rising, because I guess 8 hours had passed, and just the orange and blue, and like the mixture was so beautiful. And it taught me that you will be rewarded if you can push yourself through pain and learn how to convert that into pleasure. Because no matter where you are in game, whether you're a beginner and you're just trying to get that 1 minute approach and stay in set, or you're in advance and like you're trying to like be cool while she's giving you head in front of like a 7 foot tall bouncer, like there's something that you haven't done that scares the living fuck out of you that you need to achieve. And the only way by doing it is by being congruent in the moment and being relaxed with who you are and what's going on. Because that's where the pain comes in. That's where like the unknown comes in. So that's when somebody gets really good at game really quickly, is when they learn to appreciate and admire what they don't know and what they don't have any experience in. That's the fastest way. I've been in game for like 2 years, and my first year was me dicking around, jerking off, looking at hot girls, thinking, should I approach? I shouldn't approach. Should I approach? I shouldn't approach. Should I approach? I shouldn't approach. And it's just this like cycle that beats me up, and I feel like we've all done this. Like, this is common, or at least in the first beginning of the night when you first started, whatever, you guys have done this. And the true fun in game is when you start having these crazy experiences because you allow yourself to have them. Have you guys have any like crazy experiences that you never thought in the world like game would ever bring to you?
For sure.
Yeah. It only gets better. And I was actually watching this video about Tyler earlier today. It's like game is the one thing that gives you more results than expected. Just fascinating lifestyle. I mean, for me, that it just gave me the confidence to go and see the world. But for you, it could be something, whatever you're passionate about. So with this, I kind of want to transition into the exercises that we're going to do. The first exercise is going to be, all right, let me rephrase this a little bit. The reason I want to do these exercises is because they are the core principles that go hand in hand with being able to allow yourself in situations that you would normally not have yourself in. And with that, it's being okay with like awkwardness and appreciating what's going on and being comfortable with yourself. Max says it best. You don't have to be perfect at game or a perfect guy. You just have to be perfectly fine with yourself. So the first exercise is talking to a wall. But you're not talking to a wall. You're going to talk to somebody that's faceless, that's emotionless. So it's a pair of two. One person's talking for 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and the other person just has a blank face. And you have to try to not be reactive. Okay? That's the first exercise. The second exercise is just eye contact. Again, same pair, two people. You're just holding eye contact for 5 minutes. Create this little bubble around you and learn to just be comfortable in that connection. Third exercise is going to be an appreciative exercise where you guys are just pinging compliments back and forth. Oh, I appreciate your masculinity. I appreciate that you've always been there for me. You guys can get deep or you guys can get superficial. I like your beard. I like how you've always been there and you've stood by my side even though I'm annoying as hell. Just pinging appreciations back and forth, back and forth. Because how this translates to game is that the core principle of what your game should be is just almost being the guy that lasts longest, like the last dick that stands or some shit like that is the one that gets the pussy. Generally, that's kind of what happens. If you just stay in set and you're there and you're chill, and then you can appreciate being there. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can get really far in game. Really far. Also, before we start all this, I do want to say that if you guys haven't pulled by 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., if you don't pull, that's fine. What we're going to do is that we're going to have a debrief at Cafe Leal, or whatever the fuck it's pronounced, and it's down this road. I'll put the address in the group me, or if you want, I'll text you. But I think it'd be good that we can go and share our experiences and kind of just connect even more deeply about the afterwards of what happened this night. Or any night, really. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sensei. Got like sticking points. Go over those. Anybody has?
What do you mean sticking points?
If anybody has any questions they want to just like openly discuss, anybody have some like recent experiences that they're not sure what the right course of action should be?
Q&As.
Questions and action.
Conversation.
Yeah. Sticking points? Like, I feel like for me, general sticking points can be fixed, like fixing those underlying principles. Like, you have a sticking point because there's resistance, because you don't feel comfortable pushing yourself or allowing yourself to be pushed into the situation. Whether it be leading, like, oh, I don't feel comfortable, let's go, and then pull. Like, there's this, you have to be comfortable with the situation. And I feel like that's why I'm so passionate about that topic, because it's like the foundation of eliminating, like this is like the magic pill of the, like eliminating sticking points. Major key. Hashtag DJ Khaled. But if anybody has questions about specific sticking points and what you could do with it, we have guys that are really good at game here. And
did you learn any way to like practice like just ridding yourself or making the fear of approaching, like approach anxiety? Like, yeah, did you learn any exercises like that? Yeah.
Approach anxiety, I will always have approach anxiety. And it's like the same. I want to relate this just back to the story because that's what we're talking about now. It's the water will always be cold. The water will always be cold. It's depending on how you will allow it to affect you. So, I mean, that's an extremely powerful idea to me. Like, I will always have approach anxiety. Well, so fucking what? Like, I want this ecosystem as well because I know that you guys will push me and I will push you guys to go do that approach. It's so much easier to flake on an approach if you're by yourself. You're like, oh no, I'll do it later. There's no pressure there. Where like here, like the social pressure is healthy. We're like, improve, improve, improve. Where the rest of the society is like, no, conform, conform. So that's my answer to that. Yeah.